Questioning is the theme of the Seder. The questions of the Seder give way to an intergenerational dialogue about the meaning of the mitzvot and rituals related to the Exodus. This focus on questions and dialogue between the generation comes from the Torah itself. In 3 places, the Torah tells the generation of the Exodus, your children will ask questions about the Pesach, and 4 times instructs parents to tell the story. In truth, the questions that the Torah anticipates are logical. We are commanded to commemorate an event for future generations who will not have experienced the Exodus, and we too are commanded to commemorate that particular event. Questions that bother that new generation, as well as ourselves and our children, are, where's this coming from? Why all these rituals? What's the meaning behind all this observance? Therefore, the Torah and the Haggadah focus in on the importance of this intergenerational conversation and teach us what the necessary elements are to have this particular conversation. How does the Haggadah do this? It does this by categorizing each of these questions into different typologies and comes up with the fictional paradigm of the 4 sons. While the text of the questions of the 4 sons are in the Torah, it was Chazal who designated our titles for the 4 sons. However, when you look closely, the questions that each of the sons asked seem quite similar and the designations then arbitrary. Listen for a moment to the questions. You could see how similar they actually are. The question of the wise son, Ki yishalcha bincha machar lemor ma ha'edut v'achukim v'amishpatim asher tziva Adonai Eloheinu etchem. What are the testimonies, the statutes, and the laws which the Lord our God has commanded you? The question of the evil son, V'haya ki yomru alechem b'nechem, when your sons say to you, Ma ha'avoda hazot lachem, what is this service to you? And then the question of the simple son, the tam, V'haya ki yishalcha bincha machar, when your son asks you the next day, lemor mazot, what is this? Now, over the millennia, many have asked, what makes the evil son so bad, and why is his question so different from the wise son and the simple son? While the Haggadah itself offers an explanation to this question, I'd like to suggest 2 different approaches to explain the basis of Chazal that will lend insight into understanding the way that they intended to actually teach us the art of intergenerational religious conversations. Firstly, the use of the word sha'al, to ask, instead of the word amar, to state. While the other sons ask and then enter into a genuine conversation, the Rasha, designated as the evil son, comes merely to state his point. He doesn't introduce his question with the word sha'al, to ask. He introduces it with the word amar. Thus, the first critical takeaway, enter a conversation with a willingness to learn. So often, especially in the age of social media, where it's so easy to avoid actual face-to-face conversations, we forget about listening at all and come into conversations only to say what we want to say. The Haggadah teaches us the value of hearing another's perspective and approaching and beginning the conversation with this goal already in mind. Secondly, the absence of the word machar. Both the tam, the simple son, and the chacham, the wise son, come to the conversation of questions machar, after they have, the next day, after they have completed the fulfillment of the mitzvah. Then they come and ask a question about it in order to fully understand it. Fulfillment of the mitzvah is not dependent on complete understanding. Through the medium of the categories of the 4 sons, the Haggadah teaches us 2 important messages about how to have a genuine intergenerational conversation about Jewish practice. Most important is the focus on genuine dialogue. This openness is not one-directional. Not only is the son open to the experiences and the opinions of the father, but the father also needs to be open to the experiences and the different life experience and opinions of the son. Secondly, the Torah values observance and asking questions. A full Jewish experience demands both. However, our commitment and our understanding will not always be fully aligned. In fact, we often have questions about observance and practice, and yet we don't suspend our commitment. The beauty of the Chacham and the Tam are that they perform the mitzvah, but then still show up the next day to ask. Judaism asks for observance, but not apathetic performance of mitzvot. At the same time, there's space for commitment to mitzvot, even when we have not yet come to a full understanding. Let's take the message of the wise and simple son and their questions, and may this year be one of full and rich conversations where our commitment is strengthened by our questions. Chag Sameach.